I figured that if I was going to post about anything, it would be food because I've always loved eating. Like my family goes out to eat together. So that was kind of the start to it. And then it just doubled down this path of like people started following me for food. And then it became a thing.
Welcome to the One Day at a Time podcast, where we take things one day at a time. Today in the studio, we have Eshton.
Hello.
Hey Eshton, welcome to the studio. Can you do a quick introduction about yourself?
Sure. So hi everyone, I'm Eshton. I mainly post about food, which is my content creation side of things, but I also run my own sustainable fashion business on top of that. So those two things concurrently.
Nice. Okay, so today we're gonna get to know Eshton a little bit, and let's dive straight into your content creation endeavor,
Alright.
mainly with food lah. So the first question that I want to ask you, right, is how often do you do it? Because it seems freaking damn expensive to do it, man.
I think when you start, the potential to go broke is very high lah.
Yes. Yeah.
But then again, I always enjoy eating. So that's the whole reason why I went down this path. I try to post once every day. I try
Okay.
I try to be consistent. So far, like every once in a while I will have like one day break or so lah. But I think posting consistently definitely helps. So that mixed in with I eat every day anyway. So I try to
Fair
eat
enough.
at places that I would love to post about. Yeah.
Right, because ever since I've been following you, a lot of the places you eat at seem to be quite atas, right? So did that come after that when you are starting to have partners, people invite you over to eat,
Yeah.
or has it always been like that?
Okay, so at the start, I would definitely it didn't start like that lah.
I would think so.
when I started, it was like every occasional, once in a while, we will go to somewhere that's a bit fancier. It unintentionally went down this path of ending up with partners and businesses who were like, hey, this person posts about nice food. So why not we reach out and see whether we can work together. So yeah, it's still a mix, of course. Like not everything is a fancy place.
Yeah.
I would love it to be, but but then a bit hard to achieve.
Right.
But yeah, so it started more of a I would eat there every once in a while. I'll post about it. It's a mix of like everyday food and then also, okay, I still eat everyday food lah. I know it seems like I don't, but I just don't end up posting about it, that's why.
Yeah. A lot of people in Singapore love food, like myself included. We love
For
food,
sure.
but we not many people go into the whole content creation and surrounding food thing, because it's quite I would say being consistent at doing that
Yeah.
is quite difficult, because sometimes the food comes, you just want to gobble it down and have a great meal, right? But then you gotta do your kind of voice over, So what made you, apart from loving food, what made you kind of decide to be like, okay, I'm gonna start making food content every day?
I actually started it to figure out how to do content for my business.
Okay.
So it was like my personal account. I was like, okay, I'm going to test out how to do captions, how to do voiceover, stuff like that. The whole voiceover situation was more of honestly, it was a joke at the start.
Okay.
Because my friends would always joke about how if I wanted to have an alternate job, I should go and try to be a radio DJ.
Yeah, you have a
So I
very
was like-
low and sexy voice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So that was the whole like driving factor behind it. Like, okay, I'm gonna try to do VOs just for the fun of it, right? And then also test out captions and see how that works in terms of content creation, especially on TikTok. Because back then, I was very new to TikTok. I had no idea how it
When was this?
functioned. This was like 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 years ago. So I mean, TikTok was around already, but to me, it was a new thing. I was very much IG focused
Right.
before that. So like
Like the
photos, that
people
kind
in
of
our
thing.
generation,
Yeah,
yes.
essentially, right? So yeah, tested that out. I figured that if I was going to post about anything, it would be food because I've always loved eating. Like my family goes out to eat together. So that was kind of the start to it. And then it just doubled down this path of like, people started eventually people started following me for food, and then it became a thing.
So you basically stumbled into it.
Yes.
Right. It wasn't like a whole, okay, I'm gonna become a food content creator, and you became one, but you kind of stumbled into it.
Yes, for sure.
And as a food content creator, okay, so there are many different types of content creators, and many different types of creators monetize their content differently, right? So for you, is this very much something that you just do on the side, get some kind of sponsored meals here and there just for fun? Or is this actually something that you're building as somewhat of a career and income stream?
I think it has become somewhat of a career and an income stream. I would say it's not the easiest, like what you mentioned, like it's not the easiest thing to navigate, especially food in Singapore. It's, in terms of content creation, it's not one of the higher paying realms in content, for sure. And also, like, the thing is, a lot of F&B businesses are also like, it's not the first thought in terms of marketing.
Correct.
Because traditionally it's relatively new. So I think exploring that and starting out, I didn't think of it as a potential income stream, of course. Now it has sort of become a slight income stream. So that and my business, and it does help that it pays the bills.
It does, because I have actually, I know quite a lot of content creators for whatever reason, and a lot of them actually share similar consensus that there are certain industries within content creation that pays slightly better, like beauty, fashion, and food doesn't seem to be ranked amongst them at all, right? In fact, food, like what you mentioned and described, seems to be amongst the more humble paying parts of content creation, because a lot of F&B businesses are also struggling with very high costs, right? Manpower is an issue,
for sure.
Rental is an issue, and the amount of, I guess, budget that goes into marketing influencers obviously have to be proportioned to the other expenses, right? So as a food content creator, apart from getting free meals, you do essentially, like most other content creators, get paid for creating content for certain brands and vice versa, right?
I think in terms of food, the food doesn't necessarily pay you, but the potential of working with other like clients, such as like maybe payment platforms or like travel platforms, things like that, could be the realm where it does pay you a little bit more. Compared to just like purely focusing on F&B. So that's kind of how like I figured I can explore that realm.
Oh right. Hey, this it gives so much sense. So like like food delivery platforms and stuff like that.
So like, because those are your corporations that could potentially put money into marketing.
Right. Because they're technically tech companies rather than F&B companies. Oh, hey, that's actually really a really interesting perspective. So essentially, you're working with F&B businesses to kind of elevate their brand and your brand, which eventually allows more brands that are not exactly within F&B to approach you. Like for example, like travel businesses, credit cards, or certain things like that, because you gotta pay for the food somehow, right? You gotta use your joke vouchers, your Chris Plus, and
everything
whatever
that fits together with each other.
Right. And food is such a huge thing. Right, whether you are clocking, miles, you use certain cards to buy food, and food is the thing.
And like Singaporeans love to eat lah. So
we do freaking. So the whole idea of you starting this content creation thing is basically to grow your business, your main business. Right.
So that was the whole start of it lah.
So let's talk a little bit about that, right? Your I mean, I don't exactly know what you do. I just know you're the kimono guy, but maybe you want to explain a little bit more about your sustainable fashion business.
So my business partner and I, we started Sign, so we call ourselves Sign Studio. With the aim to sort of do like, one part of the business is we restore vintage kimonos from Japan. So we bring in old pieces that are damaged or unwanted, things like that, discarded, and then we'll fix it back up, restore it, put it back out in the market, style it not too traditionally so that it's a bit more relatable to everyday fashion. And also we try to work with brands as well, because that's where we came from. I used to come from I used to work in a fast fashion brand. So did my business partner.
Oh.
Yeah, and then we now want to go back to brands and try to work with their unwanted stuff, their damaged things, damaged items that usually get thrown away. At least there's a bridge to how they can move that into sustainability rather than just discard it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds awfully niche and complicated. Yeah. So how did you get into the whole? I mean, I get that you used to work for fast fashion.
Yeah.
How do you get into the whole like restoring kimonos thing? It's really, I've never, I mean, maybe not in Singapore but in Singapore I've never actually come across anybody who does this.
I think we are the first from what we know.
Right.
My business partner has always been collecting old pieces, old kimonos. For me, I was trying to find something that is Asian influenced, for outerwear, especially in streetwear and things like that, that kind of fit the bill. And also it's one of the most sustainably made items, which is why we wanted to use that as the base.
Right.
Yeah.
So kimonos are one of the more sustainably made fashion items.
Yes,
But
because
why
of
is that so?
the way the fabric is cut. Yeah, so if you look at every kimono, there's like 6 panels and they're all the same size. So basically they slice it and there's no fabric waste. But if you compare it to like our shirts or our t-shirts, then
because it's a weird
it's cut out from like a piece. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. So the right now you have kind of gone a little bit from restoring old kimonos into like a full-on sustainable fashion thing where you work with brands to kind of restore like, I guess, unwanted.
Yeah, in a sense, upcycle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
That's
So,
like the term.
so how does that whole thing work for you? Like who are your clients and how does this work for you?
We've worked with a interesting mix of people. So sometimes F&B happens to come in as well. And then we do like little launches for them or also help them with like working within their restaurants. So stuff like their uniforms, their placemats, things like that. And then also on the other end is working with fashion brands. So let's say they have damaged items that are returned to their store. So they can't exactly put that back out into the market. But you've got a lot of material there that are just sitting there and they don't know what to do with it.
Right.
If not, it's also with like events where we've worked with like outdoor banners that like for a mural and things like that, and then it gets taken down after the event, but there's nowhere it can go. So we worked with the event side and the companies to sort of do something with that so that there's a longevity to whatever they have put out already.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So it's more of a B2B kind of
on the end,
operation.
it's more of a B2B in a sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Like because it's I guess my impression in the very beginning was that it was more of a brick and mortar. You know, you restore shit and then you hang them on a rack and then you sell them.
They like go.
Right. Yeah, but I guess it's a lot more than that.
Yeah,
right?
it's a mix It's a mix.
Right, but you still do B2C Like you do sell off the rack restored things.
Yeah,
and
there's still very much like a big part of what we do Yeah.
So like 50-50, right?
Yeah, 50-50.
Like B2C, B2B, and all that. Wow, I think it's. Do you know of people who? Okay, I know there are people who restore certain things like vintage signs and vintage. I don't know why there's a lot of vintage, but like I guess restoration is a very part of this.
It's a big thing now,
right?
Yeah.
But like to do what you do, essentially like take this whole upcycle thing to like a whole new level is quite niche. How did you go from like restoring kimonos into like helping people kind of upcycle banners?
I think, to be honest, I think the goal was always to do that.
Okay.
But we figured that we also need a customer base in order to be able to be effective with what we're doing. Because if you work with B2B and there's no out for whatever you've upcycled, right, then there's also no point because then you're just making something and then it's just sitting there and continually sitting there.
Right.
So we wanted to ensure we had a reach first with customers where they understood what we were doing. So one part of it is, of course, like restoring things that are already existing rather than just making something new, which also continues to the B2B section of things.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you only work with things like fabric and like, stuff that can fold?
Things that we can sew, generally. We try to work with things we can sew. Yeah.
What can you not sew? Okay, I kind of get where...
Like furniture has been something we've been toying with, but that's also a mix of like
It's a different skill set,
fabric
right?
and yeah.
It's a different
Because I
skill
used to
set.
do furniture design last time.
Oh, wow! You used to do furniture design last time.
Yeah.
Wow, you dabble in many things.
I like creative things, I guess. So
Yeah, evidently.
that's why.
Yeah. Nice. So, as a I guess as a multifaceted, like entrepreneurial person, how much time do you actually allocate to your business, right?
Yeah.
I guess let's just call it restoration and upcycling, and also your now new career
Content.
as a content creator.
I would say it now it has moved to like a 50-50 situation.
Nice.
which is good. Because since I do run the business, I have the ability to be able to adjust my time and my schedule, to be able to take on projects if I needed to for content creation, which definitely does help and has helped my growth as a content creator. And then in the same way, I do feel the understanding the realm of content creation has definitely helped the business as well. Yeah, because that allows me to sort of like navigate the realm of like, okay, how do I put out something that people will be able to understand and connect with.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you also create content for your business apart from yourself?
Yep. So I pretty much do more of the marketing side.
Right.
For example, and then my business partner does more of like the back end restoration side. We started like very equal, and then at some point we were both like, okay, I'm losing my mind.
Right. So you basically delegate.
They were like, okay, since I'm already down this path, I might as well take on more of that role.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what kind of content do you create for, or rather, in your own experience, is the approach to creating content for yourself as a food guy, travel, and all that, versus creating content for a business, very different?
Yes. I think growing anything for a business is very hard. Especially, I would say in the last year, it's gotten harder because of how much saturation there is in the realm of like social media and businesses in social media.
Absolutely.
I think the hardest part is because you are a business, you have to fight off the idea of you need to sell something, which is very hard. Because when you're creating content creation for like a personal profile, it's not so much that you're selling anything. It's more of like, I just want to share this, right? At the end of the day, I want to inform like my audience that there's this place that's pretty good for this food, for example. So I have to take that part and try to combine it with the business part and be like, okay, this is just informative information, but it doesn't mean I have to sell something.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, like you saying that alone, like you can just tell that you're a very seasoned content creator, right? Because I think here in the studio, sometimes we work with agencies and we work with brands to create certain types of content. And I think a lot of where we still live in a digital age where a lot of people cannot wrap their heads around building social media for brands versus selling is very different, right? So like a lot of agencies and brands will still, I'm sure they might happen to you also, because I'm sure you work with agencies and brands. They'll come to you and say, Eshton, there's no call to action. Eshton, there's no, where's the discount code? But
can I put a chunk of text?
yeah, exactly. Eshton, you gotta tell them that this point, and this point, and they just stuff all the motto, vision, and everything into your one short 1.5 minute video, right?
Make the logo bigger.
yeah, absolutely. And sometimes, like, I guess it's your job, or like the job of people who help to facilitate content for brands, to explain to them that sometimes, like, not hard selling can actually be a lot more effective because it creates a lot more engagement, brand awareness, kind of usual thing, right? So I mean, like, there's music to my ears. The way you're describing it is like crack. Yeah, because do you actually feel like it sometimes is a challenge to work with certain brands because they have an idea of what it means to create content to sell, but you have an idea of what it means to create content to engage your audiences? There's a bit of a conflict there.
Yeah, I think it's a negotiation between the two in a sense. I do know some content creators are just like, okay, whatever you tell me as input, it's fine. But then at the end of the day, if your audience is not gonna be interested to even watch it, then it won't be effective.
Absolutely.
Right. So I think that's how I try to put it across to the campaigns that I do work on, like I'll be like, if we dump all this information, nobody's gonna watch past the first 3 seconds. So there's no point in me even posting the video at the end of the day, because then it defeats the whole purpose, right? Like they would want viewership and awareness of the brand, right? Rather than just like, then you might as well just put out a poster lah. Then nobody needs to watch the video lah.
Yeah. And you would want that for your video as well, because if your video does well, the engagement is high, chance of the brand engaging you again is obviously very much higher, right?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I think like content creators kind of know their audience, or I hope like we all try to understand our audience.
Right.
So you will know what works better than a brand putting out something that is very not in line with what you usually do.
So, you know, in every content creator's journey, whether you are creating for a business, a brand, or for yourself, the one thing that I think most people can agree on is consistency. Like what you say, right? Like you do it daily. Some people do it more than one time a day, but minimally, you know, a couple times a week, you know, depending on the platform. In your opinion, right, does the consistency help you kind of figure out what works and what doesn't work and slowly tweak it such that you are moving towards progress?
I definitely think it does. I mean, on both ends lah. On one end is you get, if we're talking about like, let's say virality, I don't think anybody can really 100% predict whether something will go viral.
Agreed.
But you'll be able to understand it more when you put out more, because then you sort of have like a bigger pool of information of like, okay, this works, why doesn't it work? I like to get a bit nerdy about my content and try to break it down.
I think
look at the analytics, be like, okay, why? Where do people fall off?
Ooh, speaking my language, man. Okay.
So like, I think on top of that, the other thing is if you do put out a lot of, like especially on social media, if you do put out a lot of content, the opportunity for it to run is a lot higher because you're putting out more stuff, right? So that way, if you're talking about growth, then your chance for growth is a lot higher than putting out like lesser amount of content. But of course, you cannot, it's not like a quality versus quantity situation. Like you cannot put out a lot and then have
It's
like
crappy.
horrible stuff.
Yeah,
because then it might not work. Yeah, so it's kind of a balance between that two also.
right.
Yeah.
Well, actually, right. On the contrary, I think if you are going to put out horrible stuff, you should do your best to make it as horrible as possible.
Just go maximum.
Correct. You either make it good or you make it like really terrible, right? Because
that's true.
the majority of content being created is somewhere in between.
Yeah.
It's like
So it's like you need to find that the extremities
correct.
it.
Like make it like super out there and terrible, and you've got yourself some.
You shock your audience into it. Like, what?
Absolutely. And you know, like, how long did it take you to get from, oh, I'm just trying this out, creating content for fun, to like, hey man, this is like, it's getting serious already. Like, how long did the journey take you?
I think, okay, so for I started on TikTok, very much so. On TikTok, I started posting, so like 2.5 to 3 years ago. For like the first 3 months, nobody cares lah. Nothing ever goes viral. I had one video that all of a sudden went viral. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to another nice place to eat. So I might as well just record it and post it. And then that also did well. And then after that, a couple of restaurants were like, hey, do you want to come down and check out our place? And then I was like, wait, this is something I can go down. Like it's a path that I can journey down and figure out, okay, maybe I can do content creation. So that took me like, I would say like a good 6-7 months after I started to get any kind of attention.
It is actually pretty good.
It's not too bad lah.
Okay, I guess considering 2-3 years ago, TikTok is not as saturated as it is today.
For sure.
I think for somebody that's starting like today, it probably might take a bit longer. And you have to be more creative.
To figure out like how to... When I started, to be honest, my videos were absolutely horrible lah. I don't think my videos are amazing now, but like it's definitely improved when amazing. I look back.
For sure, yeah.
I look back, I'm like, oh wow. So I started also like trying to replicate what people were doing. Because I mean that was the only way I was like, okay, let me figure it out, right? Reference, right? And then it hit a point where I was like, okay, I started finding my realm of like doing voiceovers. And then that was more consistent because every time I did a voiceover, people were like, okay, I'm gonna watch the video more. So like the analytics were like, oh, okay, when you do a voiceover, it does well lah. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try that. yeah, so then I started doing that more often. It started growing a bit more. TikTok took off. I did not start posting on IG, which might have been not the smartest move, lah. But I didn't think about it because
Right,
I
right.
wasn't like, I'm gonna do this content
Right.
creation thing.
Right.
Yeah. Until I met like other creators and they were like, dude, you should try posting on IG reels, that kind of stuff, since you're already gonna make a video, right?
Yeah, so might as well, right?
You might as well just try lah. Yeah. So that started last year. Like 2 years after I started TikTok.
Oh shit, okay. Nice. Yeah. That makes complete sense. And generally, like these days, I guess with every platform, as more and more people, more and more viewers and creators get on it, it gets more saturated and it gets a little bit tougher to stand out lah.
Yeah.
Right? You can't. I don't think a content creator can do exactly what you do like and start today and have the same kind of traction as you. It has to be like a little bit more unique, something more personalized.
I think you've got to carve out your own
niche.
Yeah, in your own niche in your sense, but like also, I mean, for me, I tried to. Okay, I make myself the ideal like audience, so I try to put out content that I would enjoy anyway.
Right.
And that also meant like I love watching food documentaries. I grew up watching that in my family, so that's why I grew in this environment where I really love food, right? So I was like, okay, how do I try to put out that same kind of aesthetic in a sense in my own way that relates back to like food documentaries, stuff like Chef's Table, that kind of thing. And then I was like, okay, if I put it into social content, how would it look? Yeah, so that informed the way I shoot in a sense.
Yeah. So it's a partially systematic and logical journey, and partially like a journey of like a bit of luck and discovery,
and
right?
Like figuring out your own
and then you find that balance, and then you go, right? So I think it's super cool and interesting. Let's get down and dirty to the equipment that you are using. So as I'm sure as most people when they start out, right, it's just like fun. It's like probably use a phone,
anything,
and then like whatever, right? So now that you have kind of this has evolved to be a little bit more of a professional career type of thing, right? What kind of equipment do you usually use? Because when you go out to eat and then do you bring all your ring light and like or do you like make it like?
I have one handheld light that I bought from Shopee.
Nice.
Like 2 years ago. And then Pixel 8 Pro.
Oh.
And that's all I shoot with.
And even until today?
Until today, yeah.
Oh,
of course, the phone has improved along the way. So like, last time I was shooting with Pixel 7, now I'm shooting with Pixel 8 Pro.
Oh, so you're still shooting with your Pixel?
I'm still shooting with my phone.
So then my question, I swear I thought you were using a gimbal. So how do you make it stable?
I just hold and so I have a
it's hard. I swear it's hard.
And then I essentially just lock it in like that and just move. Yeah, and try to like stabilize my hand.
What? Okay, are you using any like post stabilizer?
A bit on CapCut sometimes.
Right, like so just like minor stable. Also, and you're editing with CapCuts on your phone.
I rather edit with my phone because then I'm always on the go.
Easier.
Yeah.
Oh geez, I could have sworn you're using a gimbal, and I swear, it's honestly. I think everybody in this studio, everybody knows that it's hard to do certain things with because sometimes human, like it's really just with a gimbal you just
I think
also can
muscle memory at this point.
Man, you have freaking damn steady hands.
Thank you.
Did it come with the sewing of your thing?
I guess I also dabbled in photography last time. So I guess that helped.
Yeah. Wow, but I gotta say, I saw you're using like a DJI or something.
Sometimes I feel them out of place. Like when we go to like let's say media events and things.
Right, and all your influencer people bring out their
camera and stuff. Then I'm just like, hi, it's my phone.
If it works, it works.
Yeah.
Nice. Wow. Okay. I was expecting you to have like a equipment breakdown, but then I guess
no, that's I shoot very bare.
But I guess that emphasizes the point that content creation, being a content creator, is very much a spirit, a kind of a passion, an energy, rather than just buying a whole bunch of equipment that other people tell you to buy.
Yeah, I think so also.
And not using them.
Yes. Yeah, and also like I guess that's always the saying, like the best camera is the camera you have with you. But I think shooting on a phone, in a sense, helps me to, like, I love eating, right? That's the whole point and reason I started. So I shoot very fast. I don't like my food to get cold. I like to eat it.
Right. So like you just
Yeah, so
then
I'm
you eat.
like, okay, I know all the shots that I want. The food gets out. I'm gonna quickly shoot it so I can eat it, and then
Right.
at least I know how the food tastes when it's hot. Not
Yes.
when the food's sitting there for like half an hour, then they get into it, and then it's not how it should be tasted.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So if you have like I guess two parts to this, right? Your personal content creation and your business content creation. And if someone is interested to kind of connect with you, maybe a brand wants to work with you, or maybe someone wants to just follow your salivating kind of journey, where can they actually find you online for both your endeavors?
You can find me for food. You can find me at Eshton, Eshton, on IG and TikTok. And for kimonos and anything sustainably fashion restored, it's at syne.sg.
Nice. syne.sg. I'll leave all the stuff in the description at the bottom so you can connect with Eshton and maybe, find some interesting food things to share with him so that he can eat more.
Yes,
And
please.
I can also I can also see what, and I can also go and eat. All right. Thank you so much for joining us in the studio today, Eshton.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you next time on the One Day at a Time podcast. Peace.